What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Modern Warfare 2. And in today's episode, we're finally going to move into the bolt-action marksman rifles, and we're going to start it off with the SPR-208. And just keep in mind, these episodes, as well as the sniper rifle episodes, they will be handled quite different compared to the rest of the guns that we've covered so far. So let's dive right into this and start it off with our one-shot kill zones. As you can see here, from 0 to 29 meters, it's going to be a one-shot kill anywhere in the upper torso, shoulders, neck, and head. Whereas in our second damage range, from 29 to 56 meters, we just lose the one-shot kill potential to the shoulders, so it's now just upper torso, neck, and head. And then finally, beyond 56 meters with this gun, you have to get a headshot if you want to get a one-shot kill. For all of these, if you hit them anywhere else in the body, it'll be a two-shot kill. It will never drop off to a three-shot kill unless you're shooting through some form of cover. After that, let's have a look at our rate of fire, which is 59 rounds per minute, and that is quite slow. But what this means for our rechamber time is this is going to take just over 1 second between each shot that you fire. So obviously, with it being a bolt-action gun, it is going to be quite punishing if you miss your first shot. Then, one of the most important stats for a one-shot kill precision gun in this game, this is our aim down sight time, which is 350 milliseconds with this gun. This is technically the slowest out of the one-shot kill to the body marksman rifles in the game, but this is still quite fast for a one-shot kill weapon, especially when you compare it to the actual sniper rifles. This is quite a fast aim down sight speed. And then finally for this section, let's have a look at our sprint out times. And our standard sprint out time is 270 milliseconds, and that's great. That's only really going to come into play if you're hip firing out of sprint, which is obviously not going to be the best idea most of the time. Whereas our tactical sprint out time is 390 milliseconds. And this is where I want to give you guys a nice reminder on how this works. If your sprint out time in a given situation is slower than your aim down sight time with that gun, and you end up breaking your sprint by aiming down sight, your aim down sight speed will be slowed down to match your sprint out time. So in this case with the SPR, if you're in a tactical sprint, you run into an enemy and you want to come out at 350 milliseconds. Next up, let's have a look at our bullet velocity. This is actually really good at 680 meters per second. Generally speaking, this shouldn't be much of an issue for you. And now let's get into our hip fire, which as we can see here, we actually have a great hip fire spread. It's tied with the SAB-50 as being the best hip fire spread in the marksman rifle category, so that's great. But then again, with it being a bolt action weapon, you probably don't want to be hip firing unless you're in a desperate situation. After that, let's have a look at our idle sway, and as we can see here, there is a decent amount of sway with this gun. And generally, if you're running around and quick scoping, this isn't really going to be much of an issue, but if you are trying to pick off that long range kill, you'll probably want to hold your breath in order to pretty much eliminate that idle sway, at least for a short period of time, so you can get your shot off. And then finally, for the base stats of this gun, before we start mixing in some attachment stats, let's have a look at our movement speeds. And when it comes to our base movement speed, as well as our sprint movement speed with this gun, it's basically just average for the marksman rifles, nothing too out of the ordinary here. However, when we get to our aim walking movement speed, this is by far the slowest in the marksman rifle category at 1.79 meters per second. And what this means is, generally speaking, you're not going to want to be strafing around corners with this gun while aiming down sight, because you're quite simply way too slow at doing that. And with that, it's now time to move into some stats that incorporate some attachments as well. And we're going to start this off with our reload time. And our reload add time with this gun is 2.07 seconds. That's pretty slow for a detachable box magazine in this game. However, it will get even slower if we use a 10-round mag at 2.23 seconds. And with a 15-round mag, it'll slow all the way down to 2.47 seconds. Next up, since aim down sight time is incredibly important with one-shot kill precision weapons, I did want to show the aim down sight penalties or improvements with all of the unique attachments on this gun that have an impact on our aim down sight speed at least. Keep in mind, I'm not including the more universal attachments like muzzles or optics here, because that would just end up being complete information overload. But here are the attachments that are unique to the SPR-208. And as you can see here, most of the barrel attachments will add to our aim down sight time, which is unfortunate. But there is the one that will help here. That is that 12.5-inch carbon barrel. Then you can see a couple of our combs and one of our stock attachments will be helping with our aim down sight time. And then of course, our extended mags will be increasing the aim down sight time with this gun. And so the next thing I wanted to cover when it comes to attachments, this is the barrels and how they impact our ranges, because ranges are actually pretty important with this gun since they have such a big impact on the one-shot kill zones with the gun. And as you can see here, the first 2 barrel attachments will very noticeably improve our range values here by 16 and 24% respectively, whereas the final 3 barrels will all be harming our ranges by varying degrees. I also decided to put the bullet velocity values and the increases or decreases with these barrels on the right hand side of the screen, just in case you wanted a reference for those as well. And then finally, for attachment stats I wanted to cover on this gun, let's have a look at the bolts, because this is a unique attachment slot we haven't covered before in this series for Modern Warfare 2 at least. And with this,